and Thank you very much, sorry for the delay once again. But now we can start moving with high speed. The first session here is on water, irrigation, environment, and climate change. Before the other session comes. And I have got two presenters. One of them is Stephen Mureithi Kivuti. Mureithi Kivuti is a civil structural engineer who currently works underwater in a structural engineering consultant. The topic is very clear to all of us in this room and all Kenyans, and it's a very important topic. Himself, he dabbles also in research and has published a few papers in several recognized scientific journals and has presented some of them in international engineering conferences. He also recently, in 2021, published a book titled Guide on the Use of Satellite Data for Runoff Estimation. Some of the key concepts of the book are also extrapolated in the work that he is going to present. And I'm very happy because he's a young man who really has started pretty young. And we really have a very good that going forward, we shall have people the next level in this sector. And his topic basically is assessing energy budget disruptions and the implications for hydrology, climate, and engineering practices in the Nzoia River Basin using NERA-2 and CERES satellite instrument. And therefore, before he starts, maybe I will introduce the other presenter. The other presenter is also the Honorable Engineer Andrew Messon from the county government of Nzoia. And he is here with my son, really also son. And Engineer Honorable Andrew Messon is also a professional engineer who is registered with the IEK. He has 13 years of experience, 8 years of which are post-registration. He holds a PhD in civil and construction engineering from the University of Nairobi, and is currently pursuing an MSc in construction engineering and management at JQuest. The Messon has also a vast experience in areas of water, sanitation, irrigation, and cleaning engineering, having worked in various engineering consultancy firms, including tertiary consulting engineering and East African Engineering Consultants Limited. He is currently serving as a county executive committee member, Waziri, in charge of water, irrigation, environment, and natural resources, climate change, and energy in the county government of Nzoia. And he has previously served in the same capacity in the Department of Roads, Public Works, and Energy. And therefore, he has quite a bit of experience. So I just want to welcome you. My name is Dr. Matu. I am the chairman of a company called IEK Consulting Limited. We have been involved in the transportation sector. We designed and supervised the Nairobi Highway, and also we are involved in the SDR projects and many other projects that we have been involved in. I am also a board member of Engineers in Kenya, and I chair the Committee on Legislation, Professional Development, and compliance at EBK. And without further ado, I will ask Mureithi to start the presentation so that we listen and thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think I'm Stephen Mureithi, and the topic has already been discussed. So we are going to move on to the next slide and start presentation. So in my previous works, I've described a number of watershed in Nzoia River Basin. I've described the temperature and I've described the rainfall. So for this step, we are going to describe what affects all these parameters, which is the energy that comes from the sun. So that's what determines the temperature, and in effect determines, provides the energy for weather, which affects everything that happens not only in the River Basin but in the world in general. So this sun comes as shortwave radiation as the primary energy source. This is either absorbed or reflected by various surfaces on the earth. So after it has gotten into contact with objects, it can be reflected back as long wave radiation. So this gives us an opportunity to be able to differentiate between the energy that's coming in and coming out because of their difference in wavelength. So it's either short wave or long wave. So the issue here is that for a steady energy budget, the incoming short wave radiation should be the same as the outgoing long wave radiation. If there is an imbalance, we either have an increase in temperature in terms that more energy is coming in than it's going out, or a reduction in temperature in terms that long wave radiation that is going out is more than what is coming in. So by analyzing the short wave and long wave radiation, we can determine the effects of greenhouse gases, the effects of our activities on, and how this impacts climate change, not only in the River Basin, but in the world at large. So for this, we assessed Nzoia River Basin, its energy budget, and we exploited the use of satellite data and empirical relationships to highlight climate change effects and urgent management needs. Maybe you can go to the next slide. So this is the study area, Nzoia River Basin. So I think this is a lot of information, but basically what you need to know is its location. It spans Uasin-Gishu, Nzoia, Kakamega, Bungoma, and Busia counties. We need to understand that the land use in the basin is varied. We have highlands that are forested but face land degradation. Plateaus are major maize and dairy farming areas, and transition and lowlands feature maybe sugarcane and small-scale farming. And the lowland areas are flat, prone to floods, and often swampy. And we also have to understand that land degradation is a big issue in this county. So most of that information has been indicated on the left, where I delineated the basin using ArcGIS. So yeah, there's a lot of information here, but just have a general idea of where it is and maybe the characteristics I just mentioned. That's what we need to be important for the next. So for data collection and analysis, so it's much easier to measure using satellite, and that's why we use CERES instruments and narrative data sets. These are run by NASA and they can be found by the power of NASA. The reason why we use satellites, there are two reasons. First, recording on ground is very difficult. As you can see, my feet are very dirty, and it's because today I was in an earlier attempt to collect data for a small area, but using satellites, and the same time I used to collect data today, you can do it for the entire basin in like 30 minutes. So you can see the obvious benefits. The second benefit is that this data is there all the time. You don't have to continuously record it. So basically, we decided to go with 13 stations, which are distributed across the basin. Then we did outlier tests to remove the missing values, the high and lower outlier limits. So we chose the study period for 1982 to 2020, based on the parameter with the lowest central range, which I've discussed later. That's what limited us, but effectively you can go up to 2022 if you want, according to the data by NESA. So we collected the data from 6 energy budget parameters on a monthly and daily average time step. So we use design polygons to determine the area of influence for individual stations in the basin. And then the sum of parameters for the entire basin are calculated by multiplying station data by the percentage influence of the station in the basin area. Next. So these are the parameters of the energy budget that are analyzed. We have top of atmosphere, shortwave downward irradiance. That's the energy coming in from space. Yes. So we have all sky surface, shortwave downward irradiance. So this is what is received at the Earth's surface, the energy that comes in contact with the Earth. So we have the all sky surface shortwave upward irradiance. That is, after the energy comes into contact with the Earth, what is reflected upwards initially. That's the all sky surface upward irradiance. Then we have all sky surface albedo. That's the ratio of solar energy reflected by the Earth's surface to the incident solar energy. This is important because it determines the use of the land. For example, if you have a forest, the surface albedo will be different than if the land is bare. Because if the land is bare, maybe let's say it's a road surface and you put a road surface there, the albedo is going to be higher, which means if these effects are compounded over the entire area, the temperatures are going to increase over time because the Earth is absorbing more energy than is being reflected outwards. And it's important because even when scientists are analyzing the loss of ice caps, this is the factor that is mainly affected because without ice caps, more energy is absorbed into the Earth, and that means climate change in terms of temperatures increasing. So we have all sky surface, long wave downward irradiance. Now this is the total thermal infrared radiance reaching the Earth's surface due to the greenhouse effect. Okay, this is what happens when there's greenhouse gases. We know energy is released from the Earth as long with radiation, and some of it is reflected by the greenhouse gases. So that's the all sky surface long with downward irradiance. So this is what greenhouse gases change, and what causes the temperature of the Earth to be more. And so you have all sky surface long with upward irradiance, that is the total thermal infrared irradiance released from the Earth's surface into the atmosphere as long with radiation. So that's what is finally released by the Earth out into space. So in short, what you're supposed to understand, for the Earth's surface temperature at normal conditions, the first and the last parameters are supposed to be the same. But if there's a disturbance in the system, maybe a change in the sky surface albedo or the change in the sky surface long wave downward irradiance, will either mean more energy will come in than is reflected outwards, or more energy will go out than is coming in, which means an imbalance and either an increase or decrease in temperatures, and thus maybe more severe weather and changes in the climate, not only of the basin, but of the world at large. So we move to the next slide. So these are the results. We are going to go through them quickly. So the first study, we showed that when you analyze the short wave, in a nutshell, it does not vary very much. You can predict it. The first way you can predict it is that it has peaks. And these peaks depend on years. The first peak occurs in March at an average of 436.37. The second in September to October at 428.78. Similarly, the trough and the lowest incidence occur in June and July at 389.29 and 484.51. But these are not affected by anything other than the the changes from the equinox to the summer solstices and winter solstices. Like the earth is over the sun is over the equator, the sun is over the north pole, the earth is over the south pole. So these do not change, meaning that you can predict these values will repeat every year. So you cannot attribute climate change to shortwave radiation that comes into the earth. So on an annual basis, we can say that the irradiance is sinusoidal and changes maybe every 14 years. But in general, for shortwave, the energy coming to the earth does not change very much. So what will change and affect climate is all these other parameters, especially the ones I highlighted before. So you can move to the next slide. So now this is what we just discussed before. You can see the annual trend is about 0.009 watts per meter square per year. So for shortwave radiation, energy coming back to the earth does not change very much. So we can be sure that this will not contribute to climate change. Next slide. So now this is where the ranges, the shortwave dominant irradiance. This is where it begins to change. And again, although this changes every year, we can attribute it to atmospheric reflectivity in clouds. So the shortwave dominant irradiance, really the changes will not vary as much as we would attribute to climate change, and at a decrease of about has been decreasing at about 0.2 watts per meter square per year. So maybe we can say it has been safe. Next slide. So this is what I was mentioning. Surface albedo, very big changes on analysis, and there are reasons. So now, for the Nzoia Basin, you can conclude that the reflectivity of the earth is becoming less reflective, which means more energy is being absorbed by the earth. This, in a nutshell, means that we are replacing what is covered on the ground with infrastructure. Maybe something like roads, we are putting in dark structures on the earth, which means we are absorbing more energy, and which means we are changing the climate. And we can move with that understanding, we can just move to the next slide there. So, and as we have noticed from the graph, there's something I wanted to mention, that as you can see, this effect around the year 1999 onwards, the graph was steep and then it smoothed down. And this correlates with not only the establishment of the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, but with the works of Wangari Maathai and similar forest conservationists. So this means that it is possible to mitigate these changes, because if such works can be observable over such long period of times, and you can graph it and you can show with surety that the more sensitive about climate you are becoming, the less severe our effects is becoming. That means we even have the potential to turn the graph around. So that was an important note from the analysis of the surface albedo, that although we are having digital effects, we have the potential to improve in future. So next slide. So that for the long wave downward irradiance, predictably we are increasing annually with a range of 20.23 watts per meter square. What does that mean? More energy every year is being reflected back to the earth. And what does that? Greenhouse gases. So you can say that the greenhouse effect is worsening the basin over time. Next slide. So following backward irradiance, this has also been declining over the year. So decrease of about 0.2 watts per meter square at a range of 11.558 watts per meter square, and this supports our previous analysis about the worsening greenhouse gas effect. This, because what this means is less energy has been escaping out of the earth over the years, which means more has been left to remain in the earth, in addition to what is coming, and these effects are compounding together to increase the energy available in the basin and thus increase the temperature and make the weather more violent and such effects. Next slide. So we are commentary on land degradation. So to confirm that whatever I was observing, especially for surface albedo, I delineated using a supervised classification for 2015 and 2020 for the basin, just to confirm that what I'm talking about is real. And you can see in the year 2015 and 2020, notably, the red points are the effects of mankind that increase surface albedo, which I have marked out. I've gone to a road section and supervised it. I've gone to dark areas as a result of human activity and supervised it from 2015 and 2020, and then generated a map showing in the red, notably the red areas, what has been happening. And as you can see, it supports our conclusions that as over time, human activity has been increasing in the basin, and this is what we are observing in the data on the previous slide. You can see even the forested areas which have been reducing, and yeah, such effects. So yeah, it proves that human effects have been observable in the basin over time. Right? So the conclusion is that the energy budget of the basin shows that the basin is retaining more energy over time through a combination of plant degradation and greenhouse effect due to the release of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So while the catchment area faces challenges due to climate change, we found that efforts and regulations to conserve the environment are accompanied by a change in the energy budget towards a more positive note, as mentioned. The slowing down of land degradation in 1999 due to a combination of factors like the establishment of NEMA and the work of Wangari Maathai and the Green Belt movement led to an increase in environmental awareness in Kenya to be observed directly on the data. Therefore, while climate issues still plague the basin, there is still hope for improvement if sustainable and environmentally conscious management strategies are implemented. So we have the values, I've put them on top there in case anyone is interested in them. Those were the average parameters from 1982 to 2020 that I observed. But what we are concluding is that yes, we have been affecting much our climate. This has been proven that the data given. But the data also tells us that it's very possible if we change a few things, we still have time to reverse these effects. So we have to be more conscious about how we manage the land and how we use it and what we release into it. And maybe the effects of climate change can be mitigated and we can begin changing that towards the better. So yeah, that concludes what we did. Thank you.
Let us appreciate that wonderful presentation. You have done a very good research, which will make a difference. Okay, I think we'll go directly to the other speaker, the presenter. We can do the Q&A later after we finish. So I will ask Engineer Meso to come in. His subject is about the Yellowstone ecosystem, which he says is actually a sleeping giant, which has a lot of potential for agriculture. Thank you. And he has done a bit of research there. Thank you. I'll really introduce him.
Good evening, or maybe we say good news. I think as the setup, maybe I can say one or two things. As it has been mentioned, my name is Engineer Andrew Meso, and currently I serve in the county government of Busia as the county executive committee member in charge of water, irrigation, environment, natural resources, climate change, and energy. And I will start by bringing greetings from my governor, His Excellency Dr. Paul Otuoma, and also the greetings from the governor in the neighboring county of Siaya, His Excellency James Orengo, because the presentation I'm going to make, it's across boundary, it touches both Siaya and Busia County. And before I get things, maybe I'm an engineer in devolved systems. Allow me 1 minute to say something about the engineer's role in the devolved function, devolved system, that is the county governments. As it has been mentioned, the previous speaker, my colleague, Madam from Wasinkishu, there is a lot of interest and there is a lot of developments where the engineers, quality engineers, are getting interested and moving into the functions, to work with the county governments. I remember when the county government started, it really appeared that it is demeaning to scale yourself down to go to the county governments. And that has really changed. In the previously, before I got to water there, just from the shuffle about 6 or 7 months into the government, I was in charge of roads, public works, and energy. And in our caucus, when we met once in a caucus of engineers in charge of all the public works, we were almost half of the team were engineers, professional engineers. Myself, the colleague from Nakuru, I think he's an engineer, is here. The colleague from Wasinkishu, you've heard has been mentioned, and many other colleagues from the other side of North Meru, Kaniti. So it really feels that we are occupying the spaces, and which is very encouraging. So I want to encourage those who are still out here thinking that county governments are not good. Come down here, we develop capacity. And by the way, everything is being devolved, it's already devolved, functions were down there, only that resources were not coming. And for instance, right now, all the 47 counties are doing what we call county integrated aggregation parks, we call them types. These are in the industries. And the budgets are down there at the county. And actually, this financial year, each county government has 500 million to do that. If we assume like 40 of them will do it, then we are talking about 20 billion of engineering works happening at the county. I don't know where else you'll get that if you don't come down there. So come, and also a message to the county governments, kindly embrace the works of engineers. There are some county governments who do not appreciate professionalism. That is not mine. I'm saying many others, but we appreciate, and engineers, let's have a proper input. Finally, to the IEK, my friend here, Shama, thank you for giving me this opportunity. But I want to tell you, county government, we are also main stakeholders, even in institutions like IEK. Today, I have a delegation of 20 engineers from my county. Kindly clap for me. We are 9 from the 21 now, we are 21. So assuming the 47 counties have done that, and we are small, we consider ourselves small. So maybe 1,200 delegates here are from county governments. So we are the people. Thank you. Now, my paper is not it's not academic. It's just informative. Just a collection of information related to an area of interest, package, and here to share. So, Yellowstone, I call it is an ecosystem. It's a wetland, and I'm calling it a sleeping giant for the reason I'm going to explain to you. Can you be actually? How I wish I got a pointer. Okay. So this is a Yala zone. It is just as you live, I mean, downstream or the lower basins of the Yala River and the Nzoia River. They are somewhere. I have to get a point. Anybody with an umbrella? But please, this organized. This is the problem. Yeah, so this is it. On this lower side, I'll check the camera later. This is Yala River, just dividing the boundary on the Sierra side. It's following Yala River into Lake Victoria. On the other side, the extreme end, this is Nzoia, the lower small section of it, getting into the Lake Victoria. So the entire of this green thing is what we call Yala wetland or Yala swamp. We have a small blue thing here. This is it's called Lake Kanyaboli. It is they say the second largest oxbow lake in Africa. It is there. We will talk a lot about it. So this is in the picture. That is how it looks like. Now the other swamp, just a brief information is that it is on the mouth of both River Nzoia, small fraction of River Nzoia, but majorly River Yala, as the rivers get into the lake. And it experiences what we call backflow. It's a very flat area. Like say in 1,000 meters, you may drop by maybe a meter or so. I don't have the exact figures, but it's a very flat area. And you've heard of the rising levels of the lake. They explained the other day that the lake rose by 2 meters. So that means a backflow of even 2-3 kilometers is experienced to that effect. 64% of the swamp is occupied by papyrus. It's a very natural, green environment. About 11.5% local farmers are trying to approach and do a few agriculture activities. Then we have the open water lakes. We have Lake Kanyaboli, the Oxbow Lake I mentioned. There is Nabonyo and Lake CERES in the same ecosystem. Okay. The efforts or the discussion about Yala swamp is not something that started yesterday. It is something that was done even before pre-colonial, during the colonial period. So the first attempt started in 1954. And that time, the colonial government appointed Sir Alexander Gibb, who is later, is a judge in industry of consultants, the Gibb Africa today, to investigate the potential of the wetlands in Kenya, and Yala was among them. So around 1963, when we were just getting independence, Kenya government got some support, sought some support from UNDP to facilitate a pilot scheme of irrigation. That is from the outcome of Gibbs, whatever they did a feasibility study. So they wanted to move to implementation. This pilot commenced around 1965. I think it took time before they got the resources. And this was a joint plan between the Kenya government then, it was very young, and UNDP. And 1967, 2 years later, FAO joined, and they began the construction of Yala River diversion and protection. Dike, can we move? I'll explain in the diagram properly. Yeah, next. Oh, we are okay. So at the same time, there was a dike, which is also, to me, it is a dam, about 2.5 kilometer long. This is the one that is currently retaining, or rather damming, impounding Kanyaboli. So Kanyaboli, as it is partially natural and partially artificial. So it's a mixture of a dam and an oxbow lake. I will explain there when we get there. And then they also did a feeder canal between River Yala to Lake Kanyaboli. So the Kanyaboli is served by a canal, an artificial canal. So these works allowed some drainage and reclamation of about 2,300 hectares of the swamp for agricultural use. Remember, we are talking in 1967, when most of us were very young, including myself. So in 1975, there was another consultancy which came on board from Dutch, Netherlands. You know, they are so good in reclamation. And this commission, they did a study and divided the entire swamp into 3 zones. So the area 1 was about 2,300 hectares. I think that was the easier target. And you will see, we will talk a lot about it because it is functional. Then area 2 is around 9,200 hectares. This is capable. They, identified it with a capacity of being reclaimed easily by gravity, yeah. But area 3, I think the center, they say including, which includes also the open water. Remember, we mentioned they have like 3 lakes there, small lakes. So this one they consider economically and environmentally unsound for draining, but it also has use, which we will see. So this is just a schematic presentation of what I've just explained in many words. So long time ago, I don't know when, River used to pass somewhere this side where Lake Kanyaboli is. But then the river changed the course and left an Oxbow Lake. You read about how Oxbow Lakes are formed. So the river now flows from this side, you know, drains into the lake. This downstream is where we have Lake Victoria. Now, what was happening before what is here, what I've just explained, before anybody disturbed anything, this water used to, this is a very flat area. So when the water would, when the river would maybe rise slightly beyond the normal flow, the water would pass through this. This is a swampy area and flow back to recharge Lake Kanyaboli and the entire area. If you relate to the first map I showed you, so Lake Kanyaboli is the extreme end. So the whole of this, all the way to the lake, that is what forms the wetland. So what started the efforts of 1967 by Kenya government and FAO and so on. So they did a dike. Remember, the other beyond here is high level, so the water cannot cross over. So they did this in a dike. They did up to somewhere. Then they did another dike to also prevent, remember, these are raised areas. I wish you would visualize. So they did another 2.3 kilometers so that the water from the lake cannot go downstream unless it is allowed through overflow and spillway. And they did another one to retain Ribayala on the other side. They also did an intake structure here. There's a weir intake structure. Now, because they have stopped the dike, the swamp from recharging this lake, but they still want the lake to exist. So there is an artificial canal which brings water with gates and all those structures back to the lake. So the lake is recharged now artificially, although of course also from the surface runoff from the upstream. So by doing this area 1 was able to dry up, which is about 5,500 acres, the area 1 that we from the study from the Dutch. So this is the area which much later, in the year 2003, Dominion Farms came. They revived the structure. They had been, deteriorated. They just did the same thing that had been done by the others with a little improvement and occupied and did wonders with that farm. So can we proceed? So this is just a map explaining the area 1s and area 2s, similar. Whatever we've seen previously, that was just a schematic representation. But the river is somewhere here, flowing just along this, some line here towards the lake. That is Ribayala. This is the area 1, which was reclaimed. Structure was done somewhere here, and the water is able to flow back to Lake Kanyaboli, recharge the water to Lake Kanyaboli, and still have the aquatic life. The area 2 is quite at the center, very marshy. So that is where they say economically and environmentally, don't drain it. And then area 3 is somewhere here. So as you saw from the previous, the boundary is just around here. So a significant fraction of area 2 is on the lower side, of Busia as you head towards the lake. So let's proceed. This is an image. I wish you were able to see properly. This is on 17, this is 1984, somewhere in December. Is a Google image of how it looked like in 1984. And Lake Kanyaboli is visible somewhere here. Okay. You can see this is an area which had been reclaimed. It is actually was under Lake Basin Development Authority, who used to do some farming here together with the community. You will see some human activities here. What you will not see is the dike that was not so clear. The dike that was to impound the water for Lake Kanyaboli. And yeah, that was the situation as of 1984. What happened exactly is that I think the maintenance regime and the practices that we have, this thing deteriorated. So the dike, we had out both sides, and so the farm was not as functional as it should have been from the planning. But the papyrus you can see, and many others. Just a mention of dominion, because when you discuss the Yala Swamp, you cannot stop to mention this dominion. And those who come from the region, Western and Nyanza, this is a very key information. So dominion came in around the year 2003. This was a foreigner, I think from US. He entered, got into an agreement to lease the land. Now the land in reference here is the area 1 I've explained from Siaya. Area 1 is fully in Siaya County. So they discussed with Siaya and Bono County Council that time before devolution, and agreed to have the swamp under some integrated development, that is agriculture, value addition, and all that. So the lease was 25 years. I wouldn't want to get much into the detail because this has some emotion, but mine is pure engineering. So that was done, of course, when LBDA was there. The initial proposal, these guys wanted to do rice production, which they did for some time. And the land portion, this is the same, I'm just saying that this is the same land which had been identified by the government, some works done and made good for agricultural production, only that it was abandoned. The project might have been abandoned along the way. So when they came in dominion, quickly they went to revive the structures that had been put in 1967. And that's all but they did a little bit, they did quite improvement. They did a nice intake structure, still at the same location, so slightly improved, but still near the same location. They did a weir of 25 meters length with a sluice gate, a very modern engineering structure with a spillway. So they tried to reasonably dam a small section of Yala Swamp by raising the dike and raise the head. One of the reasons was that the previous structure that had been done by the government in 1967 did not provide enough head for water to flow from the river back to Kanyaboli. And they also had a lot of interest in Kanyaboli Lake because of the water-related production, fish farming and all that. So they raised the river, built some dams, small dams, about 3 meters impoundment, and now they got enough head to get water back to the side. So the canal, protection dike, the same dike that I've shown you, which had been done. They also did a feeder canal, same feeder canal, which they improved, and together with the raised head. So they would have now, during the normal flows previously, the water level would fall below 200 millimeters, a small flow, below the intake. That is for the works that had been done in 1967. But when they came, they brought in the engineering and they compensated for that. So now continuously they can have water flowing to Lake Kanyaboli and have life going on. So we move. So the pictorial presentation of okay. So this is what they did, the efforts they did This here is their weir and intake, and you can see there's some impounding. This is River Yala still. Now there's a dike here which prevents water to spill over to the other side, and you can see what they can do, what they did with that. So this is the canal which goes now to serve like Kanyaboli, and along the way there's also obstruction into the farms, and you can see what the outcome. Very nice rice fields, doing a lot of and even value addition. This is the weir structure that we did. This was just about I think the year 2005 there, they were functional 2005, 2006, very recently. So around there, I think all of us were in this case. Can we move? Yeah, same event. This is slightly visible. You can see the canal that I've been explaining. This one, the irrigation, is serving the irrigation fields as well as recharging the like Kanyaboli. This is the area of impounding, the diversion structure here, the weir and six valves. And the other side, of course, the dike. So that, this other side is raised. Maybe I should explain. So the only problem was the other side on the left, as I stand here, where the water was recharging the swamp. So once the dike was done inside, then the solution was where to reclaim that area. So, and just the outcome of what not Kanyaboli, Dominion did, So there was rice farming, and they were just about to reach their target of 100,000 tons of rice annually in those fields. Although they didn't get there because of other issues, which are not engineering. They also had a fish production. Maybe back, just go back, the image, the previous slide. Not very visible, but you'll see there was a lot of hatchery, fish hatchery activities here. You'll see a lot of very nicely done ponds where they would have fish and recharge some of the lakes around there. Some of these, even this, the lake, although they are small ones. So recharge and also do what you call fish catching within Kanyaboli and the sites. So in just summary, just a highlight of what they are very ambitious. They had rice processing. Right now they have a sugar processing plant, but now there is a different plan again. There was a lot of things which were coming out of that small section of the dam. Of the reclaimed wetland, which is the fish farm. They were also intending to have about 10,000 tons. 10,000 tons of fish per year, and the fingerlings to recharge the other whatever, and fish fertilizer, whatever natural fish fertilizer will produce. So they really had good plans. They achieved a fraction of them, but they left before they got to Canada. There is the other bit of now that we are in the era of climate change. Of course, climate change has always been there. The other bit of the swamp, which is high potential for carbon sequestration. Remember, I mentioned that the subdivision was in 3 areas. The first one is what succeeded. The second one had potential, it has not been touched to date. And the third one was the area that was not feasible for draining. But the recommendation for this was now you cultivate, you will encourage the growth of papyrus and those natural vegetation purposely for carbon sequestration. And we're saying here the other swamp vegetation. Just towards the end. So Yala swamp vegetation takes up about is about the study which was done just not long ago, 2015, 2016, gave Yala swamp an estimation of about 15 million tons of carbon sinking within the papyrus swamp. That is the capacity from the study which was done by this gentleman called Moria. We can look at it later. And remember, we are in the era of discussion of carbon credits and carbon trading. In the next 2 weeks, we will be in COP28, which will be still discussing the same. So this is how potential resource in terms of just go back, just about finish. So away from that, I just also wanted to mention that the calamities associated with this. Recently, this year, we had a breach of that structure I showed you, which is a dike, but also a dam, which is restrained in Kanyaboli. So when it flooded the other day, it breached the lake, and all the water came now to the neighboring county of Busia, and we had about 10,000 acres of crop. We'll show you the pictures which were submerged and displaced many other people. And this, of course, was addressed as an emergency, a disaster. This is just for your information. I have nothing to relate to the reclamation, but the potential risks that are faced. This is what the lake, when it breached, this is the dike, or the so-called the lake. This other side is Lake Kanyaboli. The direction of flow headed to downstream Busia, which is about 18 kilometers from the source. So the impact was felt down here. So all these, about 10,000 acres of crop were submerged out of this, and this is me. So I was also submerged, but we survived. So at the end, one more. Yeah, the other challenge we have, and which we experienced, I remember I told you this is a very flat area, no, very minimal gradient. So when the water came with the sediments and some deposition, there was a big challenge in evacuating the water because it came and filled, now silted the canals, evacuating the water to the lake. So we stayed with the water for a very long time. You can imagine the mosquitoes and the water related. All this was from Kanyaboli, and this is a water master which we got partnered with the county government of Basin. This is a float that floats and swims as it does the dredging. So to open the canal so that to have the water go back to their home, which is the Lake Victoria in this case. Finally, now bring up the sleeping giant to us or to me, which is the area 2, which nobody has done anything. Approximately 22,000 acres of very unexplored virgin and high potential agricultural land, which another dominion, if they come, they only came for 5,000 acres, and you can see what they did. So if they ever came or some other dominion comes from this group and does 22,000 acres, you will be able to offset or feed a fraction of this country. Remember, Galana Kulan was just 10,000 acres. And here the water is plenty, the area is very fertile, and all that comes with such environment. We also talk of the potential of working on the now area 3, which is also just live, and the benefits are what I said, the carbon sequestration, ecotourism, the biodiversity, harvesting of papyrus, and many others. I take this opportunity to say thank you. So I hope that not take all your time.
Let us give him another. Thank you very much, Mr. That was a good presentation. You tell us there's a good potential there for agriculture, for investment, and of course, up to 2 million tons of carbon. Yeah, I believe you'll be finding it. I think this is a time for Q&A.
Good evening. My name is Engineer Elijah Osuga. I have one question, then other to address. So Kivuti, in your recommendations, what can you do to climate proof? Because development is inevitable in our county. And yeah, urban land is going to increase over the coming years. So what are those recommendations that you are giving in order for us to improve our environment? And then for method, yes, we have discovered such as liquid there, and I will support the awakening of this time. However, in your research, is River capable of providing the water that will go to that 22,000 acres? And will it be enough, or will it be detrimental to the environmental flow of the river?
Let's say your name and
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Engineer Michael Jack. And I have, first of all, I want to congratulate the two presenters. That was wonderful. And my question goes to the first gentleman, because he touched on many of them both in some report about CERES. We didn't seem to mention it in your knowledge in the counties. It was a surprise because I crossed the river many times. But most important is the analysis related to the geographical boundary that we put in the counties. What is the impact of the other counties? I didn't see an analysis of the other counties. There must be some correlated impact in the surrounding environment. And how does that impact on the future plans? And I will, first of all, second is the question, but what are the mitigation measures? If you do mitigation measures, it must correlate to the bigger surrounding area than the study line. Thank you very much.
Honorable Soro, but I also said it heckling, which truly is doing.
Welcome. Can we clap for him? Yeah. So you have got slightly over 10 minutes. You are very bad. We can give you 10 minutes.
Oh, bad.
Welcome.
I know you're following the plan only because of the past. I want to assure you that you know, so you don't need to get your back. You have your back. Okay? So relax.
Thank you very much, Session Chair. I think I will not take out of the time because I'm between you and dinner, between my presentation and dinner. And I had in the morning that dinner you need to dress right. So I see a lot of us are not dressing right. I didn't want to obstruct people because I want you want me to start here?
Yeah, just
Start everywhere.
no, not there. This year, here. Then move forward.
I can see you. You're okay.
I'm okay there.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I don't want to be in between this presentation and so as the chair session has said, I do not intend to take more than 10 to 12 minutes. No, that's why I'm checking. I like keeping time. So I want to make sure that my presentation is short and perhaps sweet. Short.
Thanks for you.
Because when you talk about a lot of things, most of the times they only remember one or two things. So why would you tell them so many things? But anyway, that's part of life. As you have heard from the session chair, I worked in the road sector for a long time. Then I moved to Treasury to start the PPP program. That was around 2010. Then thereafter, I got the PPP business in 2019 and did what the work for Billboard Investment Secretary, but it was here in our own country. So I've done both engineering and financial management issues. So I would say this morning, perhaps we need to find a way of getting the finance people, big trade about the US, so that they can understand
And also the engineer need to be trained about financial. So that because everything revolves around most of the time around money. Unless you get money, it's very little you can do different things. So I just want to make sure that my presentation is structured. I think very important to do. So this is not a research paper. And I think a lot of you are asking what is the solution. When I retired this year, at the beginning of this year, I said I'm going to rest 1 week. Doing that, being horizontal most of the times. So you don't need to read news, but you can read the horizontal. You are addressing messages, you can address them horizontal. But then I said, okay, after some time, people started telling me, you can't sleep. You need to know. Then I said, why don't we start reading the paper? Then we can use it to be talking to people. There are things that perhaps we can share from the experiences that we have had over the long time. We have been discussing. So that's why I started this. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, in the morning, we had a very interesting conversation about the infrastructure at CERES. And I think all of them talked about what we want to do and do things like that. I can tell you, look at globally, these are the challenges that we face currently. And there is nowhere where you have enough money to do that. Even in the books, people want to have 3 meals in a day, but they normally have 2 meals. Maybe you say, I want to have dinner, I have no money for breakfast, I take a cup of tea, then I take dinner. So you can see there are a lot of issues, and globally, this infrastructure services and systems are not available. And they are not available because money is not enough. So, and they are looking for money. Globally, you need about close to 1.5 trillion shillings every year to address these challenges. Because a lot of people don't have water. So in Kenya here, we are not left alone. If you look at the deficit that we have currently, if you look at several reports, we have about $2 billion annually that money is not invested. So what does that mean? When there is like this, you cannot go home. Most drainage is not there. The roads are not available. The water doesn't reach your home. Or electricity doesn't work. Infrastructure is old. That's why we find we are talking about in the morning. The distribution system for KFC is very old, 6 years. And it is this. But how do we invest it if you don't have money? Now, I was just looking at this public information. And I know some of you who work with public, you always go into treasury to look for money. And we used to meet there every sector, every year. It's a ritual. People looking for money, and they say it's not enough. Then they don't get for treasury. They go to parliament to campaign to get more money. Was thinking that because parliament is allocating money, then you can get more money through the lobbying and things like that. But if you look at infrastructure alone, and that's what I was talking about, the $2 billion US annually, you'll see every year there's a shortage of about $1 billion US. That's about what they ask for and what they get. And this is documented in the first. They have these things they want to do in a year, and they are costed, and at the end of the year, they don't get allocated that much. They get less. So every year, like the infrastructure, it doesn't get $1 billion US. And that's what you're saying, even the KPOC, the truck, and others that we're talking. This is the deficit that we're talking about. And that accumulation over time, because this is 1 year, accumulation over time is several billions of dollars. We have a lot of backlog of investments. Next slide. So now then you look at what is available. What is available? You have all these why then can government put out money? And then you ask yourself, you look at the budget for this year, it is 3 trillion. It is about 3.7 trillion. The money collected from whatever sources is 3 trillion. So you have a deficit of 700 billion. Because before fiscal deficit, it's about 700 billion. But you look at the money that is allocated, the current national government is about 1.5. Debt is about a billion share. Development expenditure is about 700. County government is about 85. So what does that mean? If you look at the deficit of 700, is actually what is being used for development. So what that means that the money we collect from revenues, none of it is used for development. We borrow to do development. That's what it is. Because your money is finished. The money you collect from the ARA, 3 billion shillings, is finished before you take development. So you have two options here. Either you reduce this carriage, focus on Muzigo. Now, if you start focusing on Muzigo, then you are told this now you are supporting politics, this is PPI. So it becomes more complicated. Because you say, you are asking somebody else a question, we are collecting the county government. We can't really political for discussion. Yeah. So it is some of these things, even as we talk about the carriage reduction, it is some of the things that not possible. Now, and you can see the only way you can reduce debt payments is not borrowing. But then what do you do if you don't borrow because you cannot borrow? Because you have no money. The money you collect is finished before you even start to develop. So every project you see going on, the money you get for, the money in the roads, is actually borrowed. So we have to keep on paying. So we have either to use this, the current, or stop this development. And I'm not sure which one is which. But maybe through efficiencies, you can be able to make the reductions, yeah. But if you look at the debt GDP ratio is about 600%. Now you know that's what I'm saying. A lot of things we talk about the financing and you're looking for money, but we never appreciate this dynamic. There's very little governments can do to give you an additional money. You can campaign. But I can tell you, development will never exceed 700 billion. So you'll be wasting a lot of time then. So next thing. I need to check that. So what it means then is that we then need to look at a way of the currently private sector in business, in various systems. Because if we don't do that, the money available from taxes is not going to be adequate. And therefore, we have to look for a way to get the private sector to help us. And if we want the private sector to participate in the infrastructure services, which is basically a public function, this is what is basically public-private partnership, which is basically an arrangement between the government and private sector that takes certain functions, and in return, the private party receives a benefit without cash or without the. So, and we have no option other than doing this. We need to ensure that every sector, yes, we need cheap power, we need to borrow money, we need cheap power, but that cheap money is not enough. Because from the numbers I showed you, that borrowing of 700 includes the money borrowed from the institutions, World Bank, the African Development Bank, the commercial revenue, treasury goals, and all those things. They all come to the 700. This is what is referred to the fiscal framework. When you're in treasury, the only thing you discuss every day is fiscal framework. And you can say to be spending until million. You have video of those numbers, which sometimes they don't balance. And all I'm saying is we have different choices other than creating a proper environment for public sector investment, either in this country or globally, because the money is not available for that size. I think this is basically what I'm trying to talk about. Yeah, and of course, if you have to invest in this, of course, there are several ways of doing PPPs. A lot of countries have had their frameworks and policies to support this, but unfortunately, the success rate has been very low. And it is because of very many reasons. Can you go to the next slide? And So we need to bring that's why it is so important for engineers, because they're basically innovators. To bring in the innovation for sorting out solutions. There is nobody else who knows sort out solutions for infrastructure. Because some of the governments, for instance, they don't want to experiment. And this is a discussion that goes on. If you ask, like, for instance, over the last 8 years or so, we have wanted to do a PPP for expanding the multinational area. But that project, you find everybody saying, no, we can't allow. Because this is the airports and how they allow the private sector to run the airport and manage the airport doesn't use the place. But if you go globally, even London is run by the private sector. And most of the land airports are run by private companies. So we need to embrace this political and to drive this agenda. Because unless we do so, we should not be able, we will not be able to get investments. Like for instance, the airport. Government should not be borrowing money to go there. Government should not be borrowing money to do systems like in Basin. We keep on guaranteeing money to Kenya Post Authority as a government, which goes to the debt equation for expanding the project. It is not necessary because that's a project that can be independent and finance itself and run itself, and it will return itself. So when it goes, there's this notion that, oh, how do you let your project go? And the politics around it doesn't work. I remember we had run a tender for what we call CT2, just to bring our private sector investment to open it, CT2. We had, I think by the time, even before we opened the technical proposals, we had 20 cases in court. And we had injunction after the other injunction. By the time we opened the financial proposal, we had more than that cases. And actually, the process was stopped. You couldn't proceed because the interests are just, yeah. So these are some of the things that you have to learn over time. That's the next one. So we're saying if we are able to do the PPPs, of course we're talking about the efficiencies, effectiveness of some of the infrastructures. You can see, like, for instance, those who use expressway in the road. I'm sure this is unlikely you find a problem for the expressway. Because the private sector must make sure that you use that road so that they, and you can't use it without a problem. So you can do it. So it's but public sector, they will bring a problem will be there for the days, even a month. They don't care. It's not a business. So we need to see this infrastructure from a commercial point of view, and we need to open it in an efficient way. And that's the only way we can get back for all the investment. Yeah. Like for instance, like the port, the state used to ask the port, why do you want to add another bank? Why do you want us to spend another $300 million to increase the capacity of the port? When your dwell time is about 8 days, why don't you reduce your dwell time from 80 to 4? Then you double your capacity. You know, this is common sense. It's never common. Many people, and you find a lot of challenges trying to convince people to live in a common sense way. Yeah, and we don't know difficult. Yeah. So that's and of course we are talking about just back and just one because the other one I don't want to start out the thing. We're saying for you to be able to implement that program, you need a very strong political support. And you need to see this champion, yeah. Obviously, a lot of other things. There is nobody who's going to come and establish a project with the government money, and he has invested in dollars, and he's collecting money in Kenya shilling, and the exchange rate is moving like a, you know, the macroeconomic environment becomes so critical. The inflation, the lower exchange rate, all those. So the economy must be managed properly for you to be able to attract the most investment. And that's why I find the KPMC over time was doing quite well in terms of attracting those type of efficiency. Yeah. But the moment it started moving down, I should be. Then they started asking for their grant. They want the guarantee from government, they want, well, because they say Kenya for KPLC is not commercial viable. So when we have signed an agreement for 30 years, on the party, that's the route they see with this, the financial viable. That's what I meant. No, yes, I don't want to get into these details of the size that I have. But I think engineers are innovators. When we talk about infrastructure services and systems, there are people who need to come up with solutions of what we need to do, and the engineers themselves. I'm not sure whether a commercial person would have come to with the innovation to say, let's do the express move from IEK to somebody must have looked at it and said, these are technical solutions, and it's viable. And then it was not. So that's what we need to do. Maybe somebody else needs to come up with a tunnel from Royal to city center. I don't know whether engineers have thought about it. I don't know, I didn't have ambition there. So these are the things that we need to start thinking about. Solutions. Because even if you expand it a lot, it will still be congested. And even there is no space for it. So is there a solution to be possible? Possible we can introduce helicopters from River to city center. That would be a good solution. I don't know, but we must look for solutions. And maybe nobody is looking for these solutions. Now, the role of engineers is in PPP. And this is possibly this is second aspect. They are the people who provide infrastructure. They are the people who prepare this project. They are the people who prepare the business case. Is this project viable? They are the people who prepare. And you can say the project the way you want to do it. If you say, I want to see the road, but I don't want to see a pothole any second. Or you say, okay, I can just say, okay, you say the road, but I can install a pothole for 1 month. You get it? The level of service is determined by the so if you data people who should be able to develop this area. But now it's being given, look at the KPMC and the IPPs, but being given by commercial. Electrical people are not there. Yeah. I also used to see lawyers, financial people, bankers, investment bankers, and all those people. Engineers are being told people, can you do it? How do you maintain this? Yeah. Which is not a good thing. And of course, I'm facing leaders, like the ex-president was up for it, and I should put I solicited the proposal. And then, of course, during construction, you have the maintenance, you still have independent engineers. And of course, they are advising EPC contractors. This is basically the work of the engineers. That's what this one out there. Yeah. The last one. Yeah. Okay, this one. I just gave a snapshot of what are our success factors in this country. We have done very well in the independent power capacity. This country. And you did very well in the ordinary bridge. The ordinary bridge was a thorough bridge. And the owner, he paid you for 50 years. He paid a lot of money. Nobody complained. But even cows and cats, whoever passed on that will just and nobody complained. Nobody would today, everybody would put. And of course, by Arab, it was not successful. You got the wrong person, you do the wrong business, and it never worked. But then we also use a complicated business. Mombasa had a report having farms. Like this was I think the report came from I think I asked them about 2 years ago, 2018. Those are built or operate, not transfer. So but when the time expired, I think we have to be posted in our life. And of course the owner has to be there for independent power producers, we have done a very good job. Now 100% is in JKIA. You can see, you have never heard about anybody complaining with JKIA about cover. Have you ever heard? only regulators disturb them. But in terms of movement of goods, actually the IEK was one of the best airports in Africa in cargo processing. Why? Because all cargo handling facilities are owned by the sector. They are all 5 or 6, and they have been there for a long time. So when the rest of passenger movement and things like that, everything is leaking. Then of course we started a program with the idea, the program. We didn't succeed. Only 2 projects. One of them was completed some time back. The rest they have not been successful. But they also there are challenges because the payments were coming from external. It's good when you're doing these projects, the payment, the tariffs come from the users, other than the government. Government have complication. Nairobi Approval Summit is still joking. Now I have heard talking about the Mombasa, the room in Mombasa. It's also there. But one of the biggest good projects is the Nairobi Express. I'm sure everyone of you have used the express in here. When this proposal landed on our desk, we thought it was a very good proposal, and we processed it very good. So people may argue about whether it was done right or wrong. I can tell you it is a game changer. Without it, whether there are things we can improve here and there, but I can tell you that project is a very good. If we didn't have it today, probably to the world. Students first fails, not successful. Students can't pay. They say their volatility is very low. Mombasa, all concession, this is what I'm talking about. Now, I have had to, in a new discussion, the development is like discussion. So it's like, I can hear these two things. Our point cannot go, it grows Mombasa people. And I'm also part of Mombasa now, because I'm here. What about housing? We have to talk about it, and it's also moving right there. So, I think we have a lot of opportunities to increase this infrastructure services. That's one. So, what you're saying is, because of the demand for training, because you need to train people, you cannot do this business, complex business as well. So many people need to understand so that they can be able to deal with it. And you say, now that I've been sitting for a long time, I can start training people and consulting on these PPPs and closing those deals that have not been closed, which have been there right there with the people. If we have another expressway, 2 expressways in Nairobi, another one in Mombasa, this is will be possible. I can tell you. Yeah. And that will lead to that idea as well, because infrastructure is very good. And thank you very much. What is it? Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I've taken more time. No. You know, I have not been using this for a long time now. I have been sitting.
Thank you very much, Stanley. I think everybody found it interesting. I want him to continue. No. So I will ask my co-chair to handle question and answer. Then I'll close.
So, anyone another question for Engineer Kamal?
Thank you, Engineer, for your presentation. My name is Engineer Sharon Atieno. I work with the Victoria Development Agency. And first of all, I would like to request you to write to our agency telling us Victoria Water Development Agency to write to our agency telling us of the services we can offer, because we are in the process of launching some major projects so that we can implement them through PPPs, and we need our capacity to be built so that we know exactly what to look out for. My question is on PPP as a model of funding for water projects. I saw the list which you had projected, and I didn't see any water projects. Maybe because water is viewed as a basic need, and it's very hard to commercialize it in terms of getting profits. So what options, what would you advise us as waterworks developers in terms of exploring PPP? Is it something we can go for in terms of constructing, maybe, for example, dams or water supplies? Is it viable? Mainly because when it comes to water, the tariffs are regulated, and then also it cannot be, the prices cannot escalate to a very high level because now it becomes a problem, because water is a basic need and it's enshrined in the constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer. I was really waiting for this presentation. And according to the statistics, I'm among the 1 billion people who are 2 kilometers away from all weather roads. So I can feel the pain. You stated something which is very important. I will not highlight all the factors, but you say we need a strong political support, conducive legal and regulatory environment, and some other factors. And one of the recommendations that you've given is that we need to fix the serious skill gaps that we have in the PPP development in Kenya. So what are some of the areas that we need to be looking at as far as covering these gaps are concerned? Thank you.
I'm the engineer, one of the water engineers. So excuse me if I'm going to ask all questions.
Yeah, that's you.
All questions. Now, engineer, thank you for a good presentation. Now, in Kenya or even the world, whenever you do a project, you have to have public participation. These PPs, what are we doing to have? You don't even have very good projects. Yet you don't even tell the people what you are doing. So you are implementing, but people are not aware. What are we going to do? So that we can inform the people about the project that we are doing. So when they can come, they can even support you. The other thing is on PPPs, there is a lot of training, or even with our engineers, many have shorting after training, that training of PPC. Because the way you are training the university, for some of us never got that training. What can we do to pass that, to develop curricula at the universities for learning about these PPPs? Yeah? Instead of getting new ideas coming from outside, yeah? Even you are an engineer and you are told to foresee these things, you don't even know where to start. So what are we going to do that? Public participation from this project, and also developing a curriculum for the masses or the people.
Engineer, thank you very much for your presentation. I wanted to ask, the public component of this PPP, the funds for the public component, is there any time when we borrow as the government money so that we can put it as our portion? Do you get me?
Our contribution to it.
And then the second question, if we borrow that money, by the time we pay it back, and the fact that we have to pay it if it's foreign money, by the time we are paying back, we need more shillings to buy the foreign currency that we borrowed it in. Do we ever recover those expenses?
I think we need. What do you think is done in one? All the questions. I think she was in that.
Okay, I thought she was going to moderate. Thank you.
I'm doing it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, engineer, for that good presentation on PPP. My name is Engineer Felix Okuta. I also work for the Waterworks Development Agency. Now, it is interesting to understand that we need to think as engineers on the innovative ways of making sure that taking on some ideas that are commercially viable, maybe to attract this kind of PPP initiative. And we have mentioned some of the projects that maybe are not very much commercially viable, and we need to understand what the government is going to do, maybe to make sure that these projects are also implemented because they serve the public good. That's number one. Then number two, as we think of the PPP models, we understand that there is a legislation going on how to regulate the PP process framework. And we need to understand, I've not understood to what extent has the regulation been conducted, where is it? Has it become a law, or how, where are we heading to? Thank you.
Very much. Yeah. On this floor, I'm just an attendee like everyone else. So my name is Engineer Grace. I'm going to be the first vice president of the Institute of Engineers of Kenya. I'm serving in that capacity, but I'm also the chairperson of the capacity building and leadership development at IEK. So when I was listening to that presentation by Engineer Michael Kamau, I got very intrigued. I started standing. As the Engineer Stanley Kamau. And by the way, when I was the chairperson of the engineers chapter, he was working at Treasury. And I still remember you and the event that you supported us 3 years ago. So I still remember, and thank you so much for that. But my question is this: I've heard the issue of the capacity gap that we are saying engineers have. And I can actually testify to that because I have done finance at master's level with a wish to get to understand more into that space of the finance. And it's not easy to penetrate as engineers because the market perception, as Engineer Ogai was saying, engineers belong to the design, execution. So for us to break that ceiling and come to that policy level, we need to really enhance our capacity and our competencies and prove that we can do it. So I like the challenge that you've given us. And I think we shall go further and develop programs, capacity building programs, with firms like you, who have competence in the area of PPP, so that we can enhance the capacity of our members. And I had my sister there from the Lake Basin Authority. I think we are like Lake Victoria, South, yeah, Development Authority. So we are going to, I think you're speaking for one group of an organization, but there could be many others who have that need. So I think we'll look into it so that we can give others an opportunity. By way of show of hands, how many would be interested in such capacity building? I think it's like everyone, yeah, like 90%. So I think that is something we take on board so that we can deliver. After all, IEK is supposed to listen and deliver the members. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Copy on the last one. Thank you, Mr. Stanley, for quite interesting presentation. Now, I am inquiring from the non-profit world. That's my background professionally. We have huge funding from donors. We do a lot of medium capital investment projects, especially in the marginalized areas, the north, the south. And one of the challenges that we are experiencing is the sustainability of our project. Yes, we can have investor funding or donor funding to achieve of probably $500 million project. But once we have commissioned them and handed over to the beneficiaries, they fall out. And you come maybe 10 or 5 years later, there is nothing. I don't know what are your thoughts on the advice. For example, recently we have been told that what the donors, PPP, without necessarily delving into the details of it, but what would you advise for the how they can come in terms of probably operation and maintenance? I'll give a case in example. I work for an organization called World Vision. We have had huge investments in irrigation in Ghana, but unfortunately, the community has been unable to sustain these projects after we handed over. And we have been thinking, what if we get a private entity to support and sustain these projects for food production? I think that's where there is a lot of potential when you go to the other of the north, where they have very high yielding aquifers, good quality water, good land, fertile, but they lack that capacity in terms of sustaining this infrastructure. And the second one is what caliber of investors are you talking about when you're presenting these PPP projects? Do we have ones that have local private investors? And what is the story behind it? Because I think as we evolve as a nation, there could be that interest to want to invest also as private investors, but local investors. Thank you.
You are welcome to invest. So, Engineer Kama, you're welcome. And I used to come make a comment on your contribution. It was very good. Most of us have always wanted to visit these PPPs, PPCs, and so on. But I'll tell the engineer here that Engineer Kamau, I said in the board with him that the first board we had was full of engineers. There was an engineer from Treasury. He didn't leave it to administrators. He was representing Treasury. There was an engineer representing the Ministry of Education. And we found it a bit unique now in the setup a consultancy in an area. Not like us who have set up with really your rules and building services. So welcome. I think IEK will be inviting you for webinars and that kind of thing. Enlighten us.
Thank you very much, Chair. You know, when I had the hour questions, so other than the chair who puts the session, I'll be more or less second last. So you can choose to answer the questions I know and leave them. I'll not go to So I think there are some questions that were raised by I don't initially when we started. I was the one between you and Argentina. So I can see now you still want me to continue. Now, I think the water sector, you know, the list I presented here, perhaps my English, I think it is getting rotten. I did not say this is it was not you say exclusive. It was including, but not in the data of the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's a good And I know the water sector has had its own challenges in terms of fees, particularly water distribution. And the big challenge in water sector is non-revenue water. So the non-revenue water for the various water service providers, like Nairobi, Mombasa, some of them go up to 60%. That you give them 100 1 cubic meter, they can only sell 40% of that. So you know that needs to be sorted out, and that sorting out is a management issue. Perhaps you need to outsource the management, and that's what we were saying. Can we find a way of outsourcing perhaps the management of some of this water sector? It's a bit difficult, and it's what I was saying. Some of this requires some radical approach. Now, the second thing about water sector is the way it's structured. Because the people, investors want to deal with the person having cash. They don't want to do. Now, the water developers, like yourself, you don't have cash. You hand over the infrastructure assets to water service providers. Right? Sure. So you don't have cash. How do I deal with you in the So we need to look at a way where we streamline, even in terms of the legal framework for the water sector. I know it's a bit politicized, but I can tell you, if the cash in a PPP is the key. So if you don't have cash, then it's going to be. That's why if I even can get today, setting a PPP with another generator becomes very difficult. Because you don't do the cash. If you're sick or money, you don't have cash. So most contractors are saying they get because KPOC have cash. I know there was a proposal to do the 100 dams in the water sector. And the colleague I read there, he was asking me, because you left me in this office, you are here before. Do you believe we can, do you know that? How do you know we do this 100 dams and get the sector? But government must keep improving. See, there are several types of PPPs. You can have a project financed purely by the sector, like the expressway. Expressway, we did take the risk, and we have no payments to make. There is no way to make payments. You take the risk of traffic, you take the risk of demand, take the risk of everything. But in water sector, it is difficult. So you have to share the risks. So government has to finance this portion, and the private sector has to finance a portion, and therefore whatever money is available, then it goes back to the private sector, because the government has already injected it. So that's the only way. We need to develop models and think through, and not borrow what has been done outside the country, because those may not want to understand. But we need to work. The second thing, and I think this is very general, PPPs, where they have been done successively, is where you have the local domestic market as the participant of that. Because foreigners will demand a lot of issues related to political risks. If I'm here, do I care about political risks? I'm already here. And I think that's what I say when we talk about the road damage. One of the projects we closed very quickly, it is because the contractor was local and the financing was from KCP. It was local. But the rest of the other people who had gone through for money from outside the country, they become very difficult because the letters outside we are looking at the political risk in this country. And they priced it so big. So it becomes very expensive. So we must also try to develop our domestic market to be able to take up profits. And we have the capacity. If you look at the banking industry today, KCP, upside and others, they can be able to finance even this experts. Why not? Why didn't they think about financing that experts? And they will be making money now. Instead of deploying that money to treasury. Okay, we should deploy something, but maybe we have gone better. So these are the options that we have, and we need to get local people like ourselves and everybody else to go to this banking industry. We have this project we want finance, and you're going to make money. Don't go to the bank that you want to be assisted. No, tell them you're going to make a lot of money. So I think some of these things are good. And then of course there are gaps that were asked about the I think we have the environment that we need. Because the government really supports the currently, and they know they can't have money. You have the president saying, look, we can't borrow. And they want to recover. So what are we going to do? So we ask, yes, in fact, we are trying some of these agendas on the road damage. because he was very passionate about it, and I know he's very passionate about it. You only needs to get the right advice on what needs to be done, and for him to be able to push that agenda as a champion. And you look at the way these are successful in Malaysia and the UK, like during the time of Russia. Russia was not the same, it was enough. Anything public sector is doing is not right. Airport, give it out. This is what we need to happen here. Airport. Why is government running airport and having all these challenges and challenges? Why do we need to do that? Centralization, that's why the sector running in a more efficient way. That's the answer of it. Yeah. At the moment you have like the regulator and whatever, ports, you know, these are things that we can do and better. You know, by the sector. And we don't have to look for foreigners to do it. We only need to get pro companies and look for experts out there and employ them. Become the employer. Yeah? So I think it can be done. So gaps are not very many. Those are things that can be addressed. General asked about public participation. I think there is no exception for PPPs and other projects. I think you also understand we have a new framework in the government called public investment management. That all new projects must go through an assessment of feasibility study. I don't know whether you are aware about that. Yeah. It is already there. And it's a registration. You cannot do a new project today if it is not approved by having something approved, including approval at the national treasury. And if it's not approved, you don't get money. So, and the PPP is not an exception, it's part of that assessment. So I think the public participation is also part of it. It's not possible to the public participation. Training shortage, and I think I don't want to answer that again, because Madam Grace has had it in place. Yeah, she said she understands, everybody understands this capacity that we need to do. Yeah. Last but not least, this is one going to affect it. Yeah. So, from Lake Basin, about the commercial, and I talked about this. A project, government is to provide some level of funding for a project in commercial environment. Private sector will only participate in a project that's commercial viable, or where they know they've done it properly. If it is, then they will participate. So if the project is not commercial viable, then government needs to structure it to make it commercial viable for the private sector. So I think there are ways of doing this. So just structure those projects in the right way. Registration PPP Act, we had the PPP Act of 2013, it was revised in 2021. So it's a new of PPP Act 2021. That's the name of the source. But it's not very different from the old one. But I think realize the amendments were too many. Let's just create a new act rather than PPP. But of course, also, legislation does not really do this. Sometimes legislation is to stop business. You got the point. Legislation is not necessarily created to make business. Sometimes legislation can be created to stop business. If you look at the Privatization Act that we came up in 2006, it was created to stop privatization. Because people do not understand. So when the legislation came into place, for 10 years up to last year, we did not privatize anything on that act. Because it was not possible to do. So there's sometimes legislation created to stop business. And it was actually delivered that way. Because when the government came to power, they brought in a legislation because what was happening before was not good on privatization. You know, these companies here operating in this country cannot call what this VOC, Eveready, you know, the work of the company. We privatized 200 companies in 2 years in 1996. So, and that's why this one was created. So you couldn't move out. Yeah. So we need to understand also the business. Yeah. Sustainability of project loans now. This is a question. This is now part of the training. It's when you have to pay for society. I say, sometimes people, I used to do a lot of the budgeting in several institutions. And they look for the good projects, they ask for budgets. Then they say, these ones, they're going to look for PPP. So they put the bad projects for implementation. It's not big bad projects. Because that's what everybody does, even in the public sector. They package those good projects. They say, this one, we need for money to invest. This one, sure. Let's say this is PPP. It is not good projects. PPP, you're supposed to give the good projects to PPP. Then the ones that you're not sure, and that was associated, they have social impact and social issues you take for financing and the question. So the issues of all of this, I think it's very complicated. I will be trying to do a project there with the this town or the extending pipeline to those fields, but it was very complicated. It didn't happen. So I think we need to discuss further on that and see how best we can create sustainability around those projects that World Vision is creating. And you see, this is what I see. Sometimes the religious things and stop business. For instance, like Malaysia, where they have only 2 pages of registration. 2 pages. They did PPPs for I don't know how many billions of things. So it's not about the registration. Registration is not a solution. Sometimes in fact, the regulation is a problem in business. It's a problem in business. So let's in fact, if you ask me, you should review that the 2 pages and say, okay, you are an investor, you are making. Okay, you look like a good person. Then you do business. Then check.
Can I ask just one more question? But you don't have to answer. You can think about it. Engineer, come on. Just one more. Just one more. During construction. No, I like expressing. When I want to talk to Westlands, saves a lot of time and effort. But during construction, the PPP practitioner do not care about the road user, and there are a lot of accidents, and they didn't also care what the other road looks like. Even now, you don't turn off points and cars which you can hit. And what can you say about that?
No, I have a very good answer.
Okay.
I think some of the things it is our own inefficiency. Because right now, because I've been using this road under construction, the road between Kilifi and Kilifi to Yan, the diversions are horrible. But the contractor is being paid for road diversion. So there's somebody who's not paying their job. So even the expressway, when the contractor was doing the expressway, he was supposed to ensure that he maintains a movement and flow of traffic. But possibly somebody saying it's not doing the right job. So this is about inefficiency. So and there's nothing but I think we need to go for these people right now. This is the diversion here. You use it up to Kilifi. It is one. It's fun. But yet somebody is being paid to maintain that diversion and passenger traffic on a monthly basis. These are the problems. That's what I've done. The madam said I didn't answer the question. So that I don't, I have not. You see, the public policy, you see, I said we are doing projects. One is purely financed by the private sector. And private sector puts investment through user charge, like the expressway. The other one is where the private sector does not put any money. Kind of government pay them on their ability payment, like in the road island. We're supposed to look for money, they invest, but the government pays for the service. or you can have a combination. Now, combination means like when you have the project being supported on passionist guarantees. Passionist guarantees are borrowing, like borrowing from World Bank. You have to make pay for it. But it is to make the project financial and commercial viable. So, but you see, from a private sector, you calculate how much it's going to get, but also how much government is going to contribute and the kind of benefits. One of the things we haven't done, and this is about project appraisals, and that's what we are not doing in this country. Most of these projects that are done by readers and others, we never got to an extent of costing and apportioning benefits. You know, there is a process of apportioning benefits to a program. You will find some of them when you apportion benefits between the government, the public, and the private party. The private party is the one who benefits, or the readers in this place. We have a cost. This year, for instance, let me ask about here, let me put it here. This year, if we have to do a distribution of benefits, I can tell you that project, government in Kenya are getting very less. Why? Because it opened up the country for goods from China to get into our country. We have to export it. So you borrow money to help a country brings their goods faster. The trucks go empty. So if you distribute those benefits, I can tell you economically, it is 2080. Because who is benefiting in the market? Opening up the market, opening market. Who is benefiting? Are you benefiting for selling avocados or macadamia or coffee? No. It is good from China coming from Mombasa and moving quickly to the market and then making money.
They should have done it for free.
They should have done it for free.
Can we clap again? Can you clap for yourself? We are picking up and the bar, but I can assure you, you get the bar there. The vice president said you get, even if you don't get it now, you get it there. As long as you have a test. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Say something. Or the interpretation online. Okay. Yes.
My gentleman friend here is asking that is he being held between you say between the presentation and the bar or the presentation and the bar? Oh, the second one of the bar is what he thought was the bar.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.